was just about to post this video of my reaction to Major League Baseball naming Nolan Arenado as their 5th best third baseman going into 2023. Make sure you guys are subscribed because we'll post that tomorrow. But before we do that, of course, we got to talk about this bombshell trade that just happened. Obviously, Jeff Passan made it official. He said that Luis Arraez is going to the Miami Marlins in exchange for Pablo López, but they're not the only two players involved in this trade. There was a couple other prospects, but we'll talk about that in a second because there's one other signing I want to talk about. After 7 seasons with the Yankees, Aroldis Chapman is heading to the Kansas City Royals on a 1-year deal, about $3.5 million. Now, as you can see my tweet, I can understand that Aroldis Chapman, as good as he's been for his career, he is not going to replace Scott Barlow. At least this is my opinion. Scott Barlow over the last few seasons has been a monster. He had a near 3-WAR season as a relief pitcher with a 2.18 ERA. He had a bunch of strikeouts as well, and he's been doing this for pretty much 2 consecutive seasons. So in my little humble opinion, I think that Aroldis Chapman was signed so they can try and fix his mechanics because he has been a walk machine over the last few seasons. If they can somehow fix Aroldis Chapman, to me, he is not going to replace Scott Barlow as the closer. He is going to be used as trade bait at the deadline because when you have a guy that throws 101 to 102 miles an hour from the left side, you're really only talking about a few handful of players in baseball. Jose Alvarado, Gregory Soto, Aroldis Chapman. There's a few other guys like AJ Minter. He can get it up there, but we know that Aroldis Chapman, when he's dialed in, he is one of the more nasty pitchers we've ever seen, and if he can get even 80% of what he once was with the Yankees and the Reds, he could actually be a pretty solid trade piece. And the Royals, I'm not gonna lie, between Wade Davis and Greg Holland and all of the other players, they're pretty good at developing relief pitchers. I think that Taylor Clark could be better. Josh DeMont throws really hard. I like a lot of these pitchers, so the Royals, again, their strength really lies with taking relief pitchers, flipping them, and then kind of going from there. Now, let's go and talk about the bombshell trade that happened. So we can see that the Marlins traded for Luis Arraez, and the Twins, they actually got 3 separate players. But let's talk about Luis Arraez and the Marlins. So if you're an old school type of baseball fan, you really like Luis Arraez because he simply puts the ball in play. He is the reason why Aaron Judge did not take home the Triple Crown in 2022 because Aaron Judge, I think he hit 314, and then Luis Arraez hit a crazy 316 when the league average was like 230 or 240. That is saying something. So Luis Arraez almost had a 4.5 WAR season. He had a 130 OPS plus, and for his career, if we take a look at nearly 400 games played, he has a 314 lifetime batting average, a 374 on base percentage, and a 120 combined OPS plus. He is very good at making contact. His best season was clearly last year where he had 31 doubles, 8 home runs, so he's kind of growing into his body, growing into that power. If he can be a 15 home run, 35 double guy, the Marlins will definitely take that at first base. So Luis Arraez, I'm going to show his baseball savant real quick. So when he puts the ball in play, it's not like he's hitting it as if he's Pete Alonso or Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich, he still hits the baseball very hard. But the thing about Arraez is he just doesn't chase anything. He is one of the best contact hitters, if not the best contact hitter in baseball. He was the best at not striking out last year. He was the best at not whiffing. All that means is that when a pitch is thrown inside the zone and he swings at it, he's pretty much making contact or fouling it off every single time. I think he was the guy that ruined Dylan Cease's no-hitter or perfect game. I can't remember exactly what it was. So for me, if we take a look at the Marlins lineup, I don't know if Luis Arraez is going to be their leadoff hitter. You could probably go with Gene and then Luis, but the way that Fangraphs has it right now, you have Luis Arraez, Gene Segura, Jazz Chisholm. Garrett Cooper is probably going to be the DH now, and I think Luis Arraez is going to play first base, although he is terrible at defense. You have Avisail Garcia. He dropped a ton of weight, so I'm expecting a bounce-back season. I hope that Jorge Soler can bounce back as well. Joe Wendell, probably going to be their shortstop. I'm a big fan of Brian De La Cruz. Jacob Stallings, he's kind of useless offensively, but he's great behind the dish. So for me, it comes down to the question mark of who's going to get dropped between John Birdie, Nick Fortes, Jordan Groshans, Jesus Sanchez. I believe that they're gonna either trade one of these guys or just move on altogether. Now, their rotation, it's still pretty good. You have Sandy, you have Johnny Cueto, who they just added, Jesus Luzardo, Edward Cabrera, Trevor Rogers, Max Meyer. He's a prospect that should be back in the next, couple months, or at least in 2024 when he's coming back from Tommy John. I really like Sixto Sanchez. The Marlins could afford to move on from Pablo López, but they also moved on from a couple other prospects, including their 5th ranked prospect, Jose Salas. And if we take a look at his stats, give me a second. If you guys take a look at his stats right here, in 2022, he had 9 home runs and 412 at-bats, so power is definitely not his strong suit, but he had 33 stolen bases and a 339 on-base percentage. So Jose Salas is not someone that is going to be the next Carlos Correa. He is definitely going to be kind of a Jose Iglesias type player. He's only 19 years old, so he is going to the Twins with Pablo López and this other kid right here. I cannot believe I saw it. He's 17 years old. He doesn't even have a picture yet. This guy was born in 2005, and he is really good at bat-to-ball skills. And so far, we can see that in 183 at-bats. Now, take this with a grain of salt. It was rookie ball. He had 1 home run. Again, the power's not there, but he had 19 stolen bases. He had a 344 on-base percentage. So I'm not saying that Byron Chourio is the next Luis Arraez, but a 344 average, even at rookie ball, having a 430 on-base percentage, that's pretty good. So right now, I'm going to say that the Twins have definitely won this trade, and we haven't even talked about Pablo López, who has been really good to begin his career. He's only 26. Yeah, he's going to be 27 when the season starts. Last year, he had a 3.75 ERA, but for his career, he has a 3.94 ERA, a 3.77 FIP. If you have no idea what FIP means, anything below 3.8 is pretty good. The strikeouts did dip a little bit in 2022, but overall, I would say that this was a much needed signing for the Minnesota Twins. The biggest reason why, I can tell you as a Guardians fan, I wasn't too worried about the Twins after they lost out on Correa, but now that they've brought Carlos Correa back to that team and they've added Pablo López, I mean, we can say whatever we want about the lineup. Byron, Buxton, Correa, it's going to be pretty good. I mean, if you think that Joey Gallo is going to bounce back as well as Max Kepler, because Kepler was not good in 2022, same with 2021, but he does have it in him to be pretty special. Jose Miranda, I think that he's very underrated. Alex Kirilloff, he should be healthier. But if we take a look at the pitching department, Sonny Gray, I don't think that Pablo is going to be a 2. I actually think that Joe Ryan has a higher ceiling, so I think it's going to go Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Pablo López. Tyler Mahle, when he was with the Reds, was easily one of my most favorite pitchers in all of baseball. He is so much fun to watch. Kenta Maeda, he's coming back from injury. So for right now, I went from not being too worried about the Minnesota Twins because they just forgot to take care of their pitching. But now that Kenta is going to be healthy, they added Pablo López. Joe Ryan is going to build off the success, and I think that Mahle is going to be better. I'm kind of scared when you factor in that devastating bullpen as well. They traded for Jorge López. I don't remember exactly what happened. Who's the guy that they got from the Tigers? Michael Fulmer. He might be a free agent, but Johan Duran is disgusting. Caleb Thielbar from the left side. I really like Emilio Pagan. He might have been the best player for Cleveland all last year. So for me, I like the Minnesota Twins' future. Royce Lewis, he's coming back from, I think, ACL surgery. Hopefully he's healthy. But to me, I mean, when you take a look at the Twins prospects over here, they still have Austin Martin. I like his talent as well. There's another guy, I think his name is Aaron Sabato. I like his skills. So even though they're losing out on Luis Arraez, I still think that the Twins are better right now after this trade because their lineup is going to do some damage. They needed one more workhorse in that rotation. They got it. And as we can see, Pablo López is slated to be the number 2/3 starter for the Twins. That was an amazing move. The Twins also got Byron Chourio, who is a contact god, Jose Salas, who is 19 years old. So these guys are very talented and very young. And in return, all they had to do was give up Luis Arraez. Now, he is an all-star. He's a silver slugger and a batting champion. He makes the Marlins better. And of course, the Marlins have capital to move on from Pablo López and not really think twice about it. Although I will say, I think they waited too long. I don't know if Luis Arraez is their best return. That's just my opinion though. Now to end today's video, if you are a Diamondbacks fan, please close your eyes because Luke Weaver has signed with the Reds. If you don't remember, Luke Weaver was traded with Carson Kelly. These two guys right here, Luke Weaver and Carson Kelly, they were traded for Paul Goldschmidt. I think that the Diamondbacks lost that trade. So Luke Weaver going to the Reds, no longer with the Diamondbacks. And yeah, if you're a Diamondbacks fan, I'm sorry. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that button right next to my face. That'll get you to subscribe. Don't miss any of my videos. And also, right below that, there's a random video that YouTube wants you to watch. There it is. Click it.